Welcome back to Nick Lenz's movie review, episode 54. You're probably thinking, Nick, you haven't done this since frickin' February. Why the heck do you take so long to put these videos? Because I had nothing to talk about. But now I do. This is going to be a spoiler review of a recently released movie. Well, it's on DVD now, but I saw something I want to put spoiler tag in the video. Purely because it's a fairly recent release movie. I actually missed this movie in theaters, but I did see it as an in-flight movie on the way back from New York. What movies, you might ask? Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Yes, I will also be going into, while reviewing this movie, I will talk about what inspiration, what comic basically these characters come from. First up, we have Shang-Chi himself. Which, by the way, I love the fact they actually made this whole cast freaking Asian. With the exception of, like, one guy. Everybody else is Asian. Yes. First up, you have Shang-Chi. Or Shang-Chi, as they pronounce the movie. I prefer Shang-Chi. Played by Sami Yu, who is Asian. Yes. His best friend, his name is Katie, and she is not from the comics. A lot of these characters are, but she isn't. She is, well, I would say she's loosely inspired by another character. Yes. She's played by a woman named Afrukia. Her real name is Nora Lum. She's a comedian. Yep. Oh yeah, she's around my age, basically. I'm a couple months older than she is. Yep, there's also Zun Lung. She is Shang-Chi's sister, and here's a fun fact about this sister. She actually does exist in the comics. Yes, she does. And you think, scratch your head like, really? She does? Yes. Yeah, she's based upon, well, Shang-Chi's actresses from the comics, but became more prevalent recently. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, a lot of the stuff for this movie is taken from various different characters, per se. Yeah. In the case of some of the other ones, like Wong, everyone knows who Wong is. He's basically a regular character. Razor Fist. Here's a little fun fact about Razor Fist. He is a character from the comics. That part is true. And here's something interesting, though. He is a Shang Chi villain. Yes, he is. Yeah, he is Shang Chi villain. Mm-hmm. Yes, he is based upon I think he's based upon the Douglas Scott version. Yeah, he's based on the Douglas Scott version. Uh, well, yeah, Razor Fist is basically a character who is from the comics per se. Even this version is kind of mostly made from the movie, but yeah, he is from the comics. So that's something the movie did not make up. He is a definite character who did fight Shang-Chi in the comics, so kudos to the movie, including Razor Fist. And the fact he has a freaking machete come out of his hand. In the comics, sometimes basically it's depicted with two blades. Here it's one, probably because basically it's just more reasonable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's also, this next guy, I will get to him later. There's also the manager himself, Wenwu, who is based upon the manager from the comics. Oh yeah, he is. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's actually he's actually integrated like a bunch of characters. He is based upon the manager himself, which I think this is his real name. Uh, I think so. Yes. Of course, he also based upon Fu Manchu himself. and Battleworld. I would say he's also taking inspiration from Yellow Claw, because there's a scene in the movie taken from Ages of Atlas. Yes, so, first, before I talk about the main story, I'll talk about the flashbacks they have in here, which explores, basically, the Mandarin. Basically, this is more of a more sympathetic Mandarin, per se. I at least gotta praise the actor. Tony Leung, who, from what I can tell, probably is definitely Asian. He's probably Asian descent. Oh, he's from Hong Kong, which, that's even cooler. And he's 59. Yes. Now, great character. You might be asking, does he put on the traditional robes that the Mandarin wears in comics? No. But the 10 rings are different. Yeah, they are the 10 rings. But they have different powers, per se. Yes, unlike in the comics, where there are 10 actual rings, they're on his fingers like, ooh, what's his finger do? Oh, I'm going to freeze you with my freeze ring. It's goofy, it's 60s stuff. These 10 rings are, in fact, bracelets. They're rings because they're ring-shaped. And they're on his arm. These can do various martial arts moves. So like a whip, and they're very powerful. And with these things, he's able to smash a freaking wall with this thing. Like, break through a wall. Like, it's manipulating armies. Also suggests the Mandarin is over 1,000 years old. They hint in the movie the fact that he may have actually taken some of the tomb or somewhere place. They don't really go into deep exactly where the heck they got the rings from, per se, because they're not the focus of the movie. Excuse me. And you're thinking, really? You have the Lenz 10 Rings movie, and the movie has nothing to do with 10 Rings. They're basically there just to set up a sequel. That's really the purpose of them. One thing I did not like about the promotion of this movie is Shang Chi with the rings. Already on the frickin' poster. Even though he didn't start out with the rings at all. And the outfit he wears poster, he doesn't get that toward the end of the movie. Though the outfit itself, I at least got to give high praise for, because it is based upon one of the outfits he wore from the comics. I would say it was probably based, from what I can tell anyways, it's based upon one of his more recent attires, per se. It's got a red color scheme, red and black, which kudos for that. His sister, I'm not really sure if in fact it's actually based upon that one. I don't really know. Yeah. So, I would say Elias flashbacks take place like probably after the flashback for Thor, and probably, I would say one of them take place before even Captain America First Avenger. But some of the other ones I can definitely say, because they mentioned about the 90s per se. I would say some of these ones probably take place after the events of Captain Marvel, and maybe between some of the events of the flashbacks for Black Widow. Yep, because they explain Mandarin's bit of his rise to power, him meeting his future wife. Her name is Li Yang. And of course, they introduce, his children. His sister-in-law is actually introduced toward the end of the movie, named Nan Yang. And this character is played by Michelle Yeoh. Yes, which I believe is the second character she's played in the MCU. Yes. I think so, because I could have sworn she popped up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Because I could have sworn, basically, that she was in that. Let's see. Oh, yeah, I was right. She definitely was there. Yeah, she played Alita, who was one of the Starhawks. Yep, I was right. It was her second MCU character. Well, I don't know if anybody would talk about that one. Nope. Yes. How do I feel about the actor who played Shang-Chi? He did an absolute great job. Though he is taking a lot of inspiration from the comic version of Shang-Chi, I would say he also took inspiration from, get this, Iron Fist. They put a little into him from Iron Fist. Even some stuff from Johnny Woo. Yes, Johnny Woo. You're thinking, wait, Johnny Woo, you mean the guy who was the FBI agent who's also Scott Lang's parole officer? That Johnny Woo? Well, more like the comic version Johnny Woo, who was agent of the FBI, who was later working on the Age of S.H.I.E.L.D., and had a long association with the Yellow Claw, who was sort of in a way, if you look up Yellow Claw, he is a racist stereotype, and he is a basically prototype Mandarin character, because he's a Chinese suit villain. So, basically, they explain in the flashback after, of course, at some point, Shang-Chi's mom does die. Yeah, she gets killed by a gang while battling them. This was a gang known as the Iron Gang. Yes, the Iron Gang, that's what they call themselves. Where she gets killed because her husband battled them. And of course, apparently, when the Mandarin married his wife, he gave up his 10 rings, swam away, and of course started a family with her, basically giving 2 kids. Yep. So, basically, Shang-Chi himself was given a task to kill this particular crime boss, the one who actually murdered his mother. Instead, he gave it up, went to college, he went to high school, met his best friend Katie, very lovely woman, mind you. Though she doesn't wear baggy pants for some reason. Yeah, heck, even Shang-Chi's sister comments on her, like when she meets her, like, oh, nice pants. She's like, thank you. Katie is so hilarious, but she's so serious of a character. So basically, like, they explain that apparently, like, after, like, high school, and he apparently went to college, but I don't know if he completed or not. He hangs out with a friend of theirs who apparently loves joyriding. Yeah, Katie's big thing is that she's a very good driver, which doesn't play later on. Basically, she loves joyriding, and they're like valets. Then later on, of course, they're on the bus basically to work, and of course, her grandmother basically thinks that Shang-Chi and her are gonna get married, and he tells like, "Well, we're just friends." Keep telling yourself, man. And then he's on the bus to work, and all of a sudden we see a guy, a big bulk. You see guys in suits. By the way, one of the guys who wears this red mask with the red stripes on it, he kind of reminds me of Lord Deathstrike from Wolverine. Yes, as in Lady Deathstrike's brother. Now, as far as I can tell, they refer to him as this character as Lord Deathstrike. He just has his appearance. For some strange reason, they don't identify him by name. No, he's a complete unknown character. He's a guy who trained Shang-Chi and, of course, okay, he's referred to as Death Dealer. That's his name. I've never actually heard him refer to him as an actual name per se. Okay, he is a character from the Shang-Chi comics. He did work for Shang-Chi's father. Of course he did. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, they're attacked by Razor Fist and a bunch of goons. And of course, Razor Fist ends up slicing up buses. Apparently, this fight on the bus gives him a lot of praise when he goes to meet his sister, his very beautiful sister. Question: how old is the actress who plays sister? Because she seems like a very lovely woman. She is 30, 34. And let's see, like I saw her in the movie. I'm like, this woman is not that bad looking of a woman. Yeah, I gotta admit, basically, the actress who played Shang-Chi's sister, very lovely woman. Though she looks a bit older, like, appearance-wise, she looks a bit older than she's supposed to be, but she looks actually pretty good for her age. Mm-hmm. Yes, I would say she's probably better looking than the actress by Katie. That's just my opinion, anyways. Yep. So, and of course, basically, he does something to Katie what the heck is going on. And then they go to this country, which is real, where they go and visit his sister, who apparently runs underground nightclub, like underground fight club, and he sees various individuals, don't know who these people are. And you get this big cage, and then you see the freaking Abomination. Oh my gosh. Like, I heard about this from the trailers that he was going to be back here. And, from what I've heard, Tim Russ is playing this character. He's uncredited. And if you look at his appearance, I saw his appearance in the movie, like, full appearance. They pretty much went with, like, more comic book accurate look than what look he had in Incredible Hulk. So technically, this movie is his first appearance in, get this, 13 years. Yes, 13 years since his last special appearance back in The Incredible Hulk, released in 2008. A movie I did see in theaters, mind you. I actually like Incredible Hulk. I thought it was a really fun movie. It was kind of surprising right back here. Now, it was hinted in the movie that Shang-Chi was going to be fighting Abomination in this scene. That's what was hinted in the trailers. But no, he ended up fighting Wong from Doctor Strange. Which I believe this is the fifth appearance, fourth appearance of the actor. Because he first appeared in Doctor Strange. He appears in Avengers Infinity War, Avengers Endgame. Let's see. I would say this actually is his fourth appearance per se, but he appears more of a supporting character, and he is set to return in Far From Home and Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So this is technically about his fourth appearance in the MCU. He does play any kind of role per se to the very end of the movie. As Abomination, why the heck he's here? Don't know. It's basically a good fan service. I would probably say he is one of two non-Asian characters the entire movie. Then, of course, I'll get to him. He's actually surprised. I did not know he was in this movie because the trailers said nothing about him being here. And then he's here. I'll get to that. So, then, of course, at the battling, of course, where about the Mandarin's goons. Eventually, they go see the Mandarin. And, of course, like, Katie finally meets the father of her best friend's father. And she gets a bit uncomfortable with him. Of course, he does explain, like apparently the Mandarin is going to be a pretty good character. I mean, I like the actor's performance who plays the character. Tony, what is her last name? What's his last name here? Tony Leung? Yes. He is an excellent character. He is so interesting on screen. You might think, is he the main villain of the movie? No, he is not the main villain. He is basically a red herring. Oh, yes, a red herring. Oh, my gosh, yes. So, he later explains, despite the fact his wife's been dead for years, that, she was taken back to her home village, but behind this mystical door. And I'm like, wait, the trailer says nothing about this. Oh, this comes completely out of nowhere. So, apparently, he had his goons take the pendants that were given to both his children when they were kids. Of course, Shang-Chi is off in San Francisco. The movie take place in San Francisco? Probably the first, few scenes. And afterwards, basically, all off in Asia. So then he takes the sister one and apparently lives in a dragon head. And then we get, a map to the village. And, of course, they don't want to go along with the plan to potentially burn down their mother's home village. So they get put into a cell. And then they hear some noises. They go behind this door. Apparently, it's a door inside this cell. And it's Trevor Salary from Iron Man 3. Oh my gosh. I did not expect him to be here. Because there was nothing emotional stuff he was going to be back. Which, thank God, the movie didn't spoil this at all. And I love the fact that he referenced not only Iron Man 3, but he also referenced All Hail the King, which Kevin Feige never stated if these one-shots were canon. And because he referenced it, that probably means, from my perspective, it is canon because it happened. He was brought here by freaking Jack Norris. You're probably thinking, who the heck is Jack Norris? He was one of the guys who was Nighthawk from the comics. And he says, oh yeah, we're going to bring you to the real Mandarin. And he says, oh yeah, instead of killing him, maybe it's Chester. Yep. Apparently, who is the president probably was a good thing for him. Yep. Also, a creature named Morris. So what do? They break out. Apparently, Luke is really powerful to break a freaking wall. And she's also very powerful. She's also very good using one of these little chain with a little blade on it. Which apparently is a one blade. I'm not sure what name the blade is. So, they end up stealing Razor Fizz's car. His blast on the side, razor fist, which I thought was so funny. And he reports, "Sir, they stole my car." And then they go tracking the damn thing. And they go like, of course, like, okay, turn left. Of course, you have Katie. Basically, in the car, you have Katie driving. You have Trevor. Basically, it's of course Chinese car, mind you. You have European car. You have Katie in the driver's seat, which is basically the front seat of the car. You have Trevor in the front seat, and in the back seat you have the siblings. Yes, the siblings. And they drive through this particular forest, which they show in the flashback. Apparently, the thing like to smush on itself. And they finally get there, and they're thinking, oh yeah, turn back. And then they're stopped by their aunt, which is played with Michelle Yeoh, which is so awesome. The fact that Michelle Yeoh is Shang-Chi's aunt. And of course, she teaches some of her mother's moves. And then, of course, they have like a big, humongous battle with the Force of the Mandarin. And of course, he calls this old man named Gambao, calls him, "Stand down, young man." And I'm like, okay, appearance-wise, this guy is older than this guy, but he's over 1,000 years old. So then, of course, basically, a big battle, and he gets this door. Of course, it's the creature called Dweller in Darkness. You're probably thinking, is this character sort of Shang-Chi at all? The answer is no, it isn't. He's a Thor. He's a character from Thor. Yes, a minor Thor villain is the main villain of this movie. And the village, Ten Lao, is also from Thor as well. Though it seems as though when they explain the backstory of the town itself, it sounds very similar to Iron Fist is basically home city. What was the name of his city that he's from? Let's see. Kunlun. Yeah, it seems like though this particular village is very similar to Kunlun. This could be one of the other cities in heaven. It's possible, except this is on the ground or more like in the mountains per se. So they find the door is basically made of freaking dragon scales because the thing is, Shang-Chi has a loose association with dragons, but not really big with dragons. So, after Shang-Chi briefly battles his father, battles him twice in the movie. Then you have Mandarin. I call him that because that was one of the aliases. Where he says it was named after a orange chicken. So apparently he got the name from Americans. So that's how he got his name. Like, okay, that's interesting. He doesn't call himself that. Basically, it was given to him by the Americans. So I'm like, okay, I like that. So he basically uses the 10 rings to basically break down this door. And then bring out the Well of Darkness, which, by the way, is not bait. It's loosely inspired by the comic version. Yeah, it's more like this weird, even though it's CGI, it's really good looking CGI. And apparently a thing with soul sucking, which I'm like, that's interesting. Never heard of a villain in the MCU, basically, who's best at soul sucking. And then, of course, we had the Mandarin actually die in the movie. Yes, he gets killed by this creature. Basically the way he's tied up and the way he's talking to Shang-Chi, I'm seeing this and I'm like, wait, this looks very familiar. Like, did the director of this movie take this from Greg Pak's Ages of Atlas? Like, issue 6, when a dragon ate Yellowclaw in the final issue? The scene is very similar to that. It's almost like Shang-Chi is taking the place of Johnny Woo for this scene, and Katie is basically similar to Johnny Woo's, like, girlfriend, whatever. After he dies, gives him the 10 rings, battles the creature. Eventually, the creature is destroyed via like a version, which they describe, but very similar to the Kamehameha wave. And of course, it was all good, all good basically. And then they're explaining this to their friends, and then Wong shows up at the bar, and he's like, "Zusang," and he's like, "That's me. All right, you and your girl come with me." and we have some talk about. So, and then we have the post-credit scene where you have Wong examine the Ten Rings. It's like, how long did you probably have this? Like 1,000 years. And he's here talking with, get this, Bruce Banner and Captain Marvel. And it's just me or Brie Larson looks like she's aged a bit since her last appearance in the MCU. I mean, it's only been 2 years. And it seems as though the actress is somewhat aged. Oh my gosh. She looks a bit older than she did last time. Yes, she does. Of course, one thing to do reference the movie is like, oh, when you see like half population disappear, that's probably a reference to the Endgame. And of course, like she gets a phone call, and then it's like she always does that. And apparently, it looks like though Mark Ruffalo has aged more. Like apparently, his hair's gone more gray since the last time he appeared in the MCU. Though, like in the case of Captain Marvel, this is also his first appearance in 2 years, and plus, he's still got the sling. His arm is still in the sling from Endgame, and apparently he's de-hulked, where apparently he's back to his human form. He's no longer like Hulk with the Bruce Banner intelligence thing. He's basically back normal, which I'm like, that's kind of interesting. I mentioned about Beacon per se. I also mentioned that apparently after management's death, the sister was going to shut down her father's organization. And then apparently it turns out it's actually a lie. She didn't shut it down. She kept it around, except she's training both men and women together. What she's going to do? Don't know. And then the post-credit scene, the thing says, the 10 Rings will return in the future somewhat. I'm like, really? For 10 Rings? But not Shang-Chi himself? Yeah. This movie overall is just really good. Thoroughly enjoyable. I mean, it's interesting though. The movie takes all inspiration from Iron Fist, mind you, for some of the stuff here from the mythology. It's like, we take stuff from not only from Shang-Chi himself, but also Iron Fist, a little bit of Johnny Woo, the manager himself, merged with a few different characters, including the freaking Iron Yellow Claw. Well, for like one scene anyways. But this movie is fantastic. A lot of people were writing this movie off as basically a movie that nobody wanted. And apparently China does not care about Shang-Chi at all. Nope, they don't care about him. Apparently this movie was not released in China, from what I heard, due to comment. I don't know if it was released in China or not. Here's a little fun fact for you. Movie production actually started last year, but after 1 week of production, they had to shut down. Why? The pandemic. Yep, that was the reason why. The pandemic. I was able to resume no problem. I gotta say, despite the fact they had to shut down after like 1 week of production, I gotta say, great job. Despite the fact they resumed back in August of last year, they get this movie done in just a few months, which I gotta praise it for that. And then it comes out, I think, came back in July. I think it was. Was it July this year? No, it's August. Basically, release this movie like 1 year after. I think it was like 1 year after like it was supposed to be released. Yes, I believe it was. Like apparently it was scheduled back in February, but it was moved to May and then July and then of course September. Oh yeah, the movie's not released in China because of comments made by director. But movie's fantastic. I do recommend go see it. And yeah, that's it for Cycle Review. So next week should be Comic Corner, okay? Next video. Bye.